Hey guys, just want to say something real quick. We apparently went over the 1,000 subscriber benchmark, which is real exciting. Apparently, that's like one of the the early big ones, right? And I just want to say thank you on behalf of me and the editor, of course. Just thank you. It's been awesome. We appreciate everyone who's subscribed, who's watched the videos, who's liked the videos, who's commented, just participated. I mean, part of why it's fun is because of you guys. I think we have a great group of people who watch these videos and throw comments down there. And even if you don't comment and just watch, thank you. It's We just really appreciate it. So yeah, just want to say thanks. Back to our regularly scheduled program. Hey guys, welcome to Amity Tracks. A while back, we did a video which actually quite a few people liked, and it's something I've been, I don't know, somewhat obsessed with for a long time, and that's the streak. A run of great, well, in this case, albums. But I mean, you can look at sports streaks, or streaks of a movie director, of a great run of films or whatever. But we're looking at records, like a streak of great studio albums. And so in that last video, and if you missed that one, hadn't watched it, I recommend you go watch that one. But I picked my top 5 streaks, at least for me in rock and roll history. And the rules were each streak had to be 5 records and in a row, released chronologically in a row, so in a batch. Now it was okay if maybe there had been a live album or a compilation released somewhere in there, but those didn't count. Had to be the 5 studio records released in a row, and like no mercy. I mean, all 5 had to be amazing. So there couldn't be 4 amazing and 1 just kind of good. No, that broke the streak. Had to be 5 awesome records in a row. And so I picked my top 5. And so, like I said, you can go back to that video and see what I picked. I counted them down. But I had a lot more in my short list. And so I've got 5 more streaks I want to share here. Now, these I'm not ranking or counting down because that other video was my top 5. But these 5, I'm picking 5 artists to show a streak of 5 records each, are, I mean, amazing as well. And in this video, I'm trying to focus on artists. So none of these 5 artists have I done like a video on yet. At some point, I'll probably do a video on each of these artists, most likely, but I haven't done it yet. And so, I wanted to keep it a little fresh. I didn't want to I didn't want to kind of go back to some artists we already covered a lot. So I also tried to do that. These are 5 artists with a streak of 5 records that are amazing. None of these artists have had a video on this channel dedicated to them yet. Okay, so those were kind of the rules. Those are the rules. And so, since these aren't ranked, I'm just going to go in chronological order. So I'll look at the year of release of the first record in the streak, start at the earliest, and kind of work our way through. So the earliest here, let me grab this batch. An artist whom I love, I mean, his music. He's a ornery, difficult personality, but a lot of artists are. I'm talking about Van Morrison. Love Van Morrison's music. Haven't really focused too much on his music on this channel. I mean, other than pulling out some of his records in our yearly countdowns and such. But we're gonna do a Van Morrison sometime. All right. But my 5, I'm starting with Astral Weeks, so his second solo album, and it's got referred to as 1968 Astral Weeks. And I talked about this, of course, in the 68 video. I mean, there is no record like this. It is just sonically brilliant, kind of stream of consciousness. It seems like lyrics, beautiful sort of jazz touches, but it's not just jazz. I mean, there's not nothing like it. I mean, most of you guys are familiar with this record. If you're not, you need to familiarize yourself with it. So my streak starts with Astral Weeks. Then his next one, he shifts gears pretty dramatically, but just as strong. Moon Dance, which is just full of catchy, R&B influenced hits, but also some of those kind of moody spiritual things here. Just and it stoned me, Moon Dance, Crazy Love, Caravan, Into the Mystic. It's just side one. I mean, and oh man, it's amazing. Then he really kind of leans in even more on the R&B influences, the horns, and all that with his band and the street choir, which was I think it was the same year as Moondance, and this one were both 1970. Domino was the big hit off of here, but I've Been Working is funky as hell. I'll Be Your Lover Too is beautiful, stark, gorgeous. I mean, yeah, just got it all on here. Then he goes a little bit more rustic with Tupelo Honey. Sort of the bliss of married life and being in the country and all that. I mean, the transcendent title track alone, is worth it. But there's Wild Night was a hit on here. Like a Cannonball's great. It's good stuff. And then to me, it culminates in 1972's St. Dominic's Preview. If you remember my 72 video way back when, I had this pretty damn high. And for good reason. I think this brings it all together of this amazing period for Van Morrison. It's got the catchy tunes, Jackie Wilson said, but then those mid-length songs like St. Dominic's Preview is great, and then some of those really long ones, like Almost Independence Day, Listen to the Lion, that are just mesmerizing. Yeah, I mean, this period, and honestly, moving even forward from here in the next, batch of records of his, really through the 70s till he took kind of his first long break. It's an amazing streak. All right, now here's a band that is, I mean, it's one of the obvious ones, but it's one I haven't really talked about all that much on here. I mean, of course, we'll do a ranking video of this group at some point, but I just haven't focused on them as much, other than some of the yearly countdowns. Led Zeppelin, but I mean, it's obvious. Now, what's interesting, I remember this is a 5-record streak. I've got 6 here. I've got 6, but if you want to stick to the rules, fine. You can knock off the last one or knock off the first one. I don't care which one you do it. Either way, it's an amazing streak. But I'm just going to show you the 6, and it's the first 6, right? I mean, busting through the gate with the debut, which I think is phenomenal as far as just already having this incredibly confident and strong identity. And then they keep going, same year, Led Zeppelin 2, which some people even prefer over Led Zeppelin 1. I don't, but we'll get into that when we get into the Led Zeppelin video here. Let me just set them down. I'm trying to hold them all at once. It ain't working. Led Zeppelin 3, where they really kind of show their eclecticism, right? And show that they can go acoustic and bring in folk elements to dramatic effect. It's awesome. I mean, Led Zeppelin 4. this is the record, right? Yeah. Houses of the Holy, which I love. We have to censor this because the powers that be at YouTube, I don't like this album cover. Love that record. It's way eclectic, but it's great. Well, I guess if you want to talk about eclectic, double album, Physical Graffiti, right? Which is, I mean, amazing. I don't know. This has grown and grown in my estimation or my rankings of Zeppelin in recent times. So when I do get to a Zeppelin ranking video, it'll be interesting kind of see where all this stuff falls. But yeah, like I said, you can make a streak going from Zeppelin 1 to House of the Holy, or fine, if you want to start at Zeppelin 2 and go through Physical Graffiti, I don't care which. They're both amazing streaks. All right. Another band, which I love, which we will do videos on. Yes. I'm a big prog rock fan. And I mean, So the streak here, starting with the Yes album, which was their third record from 1971. Love the. I'm a huge fan of this record. I kind of like that it's a bit grittier, a little earthier than the things that that are to come here. And so I don't know, that aspect of it I still like, but still obviously complex. And Yours Is No Disgrace, Starship Trooper, still great complex multi-part songs on here. And then of course it moves on to Fragile, which I think in the single record format really brings it all together. I mean, Roundabout's on here, Long Distance Runaround, The Fish, incredible Chris Squire instrumental, Heart of the Sunrise. I mean, the only weak links on here are those little, some of the, each member of the band gets their own little solo piece. And while Chris Squires is awesome and Steve Howes is great, the other guys are, but thankfully they're real short and they just kind of link the more substantial songs. Is this the greatest progressive rock record ever made? Close to the edge? It would be in the conversation. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but I am saying it would be in the conversation. This is a monolithic, great progressive rock masterpiece. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I know what comes next. Is this really in the streak? I'm going to argue yes. Yes for yes. Tales from Topographic Oceans, which some argue inspired punks to, the whole punk movement, but not in a good way, to get rid of this bloated mess and get back to basics. But I don't know, man. I enjoy the bloated mess. I think there are whole sections on here of just exquisite progressive rock beauty. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I stand by Tales of Topographic Oceans, and I will tell you, um, a lot of fans, have reassessed this in recent years, and I think it's grown and grown in the estimation. And then finally, finishing this streak is one that I had loved. This record is Relayer, right? Was it 73? Yeah, or 74? Relayer 74, which maybe I mean, to me, their most interesting, complex compositions, bring in some jazz fusion almost influence, but also it's some hardest rocking and hitting sections in some of these songs. Side one is just Gates of Delirium, and then side two is Sound Chaser and To Be Over. And I mean, this knocks me out, man. All right. The fourth streak I want to feature on this video would be Roxy Music. Wonderful for their album art alone, but yeah, it's amazing even through this this run here, going from the sort of art rock. I've definitely influenced when Brian Eno's in the group, but all the way into more kind of danceable, just really refined pop music. A streak of like 5 records. So we start with the second one, For Your Pleasure, which I think is just brilliant. And as I mentioned whenever I talked about it in, what year was that? Set my 73 video. So this is 73. The pull and push between Eno and Brian Ferry is just fascinating. Eno with his experimentation and Brian Ferry wanting to, go a little bit more down the middle there. To me, it's fascinating. It's jarring to some people. Eno is out. It's Brian Ferry's band, but they still don't totally get rid of the art rock tendencies with Stranded. I don't think I had to edit this one. Like I said, lovely album art from Roxy Music. But Stranded. And then after that is the record that really pulled me in initially and made me a Roxy Music fan, which is of course Country Life. This doesn't have to be censored. But Country Life, man, that opening with the thrill of it all is thrilling. Out of the Blue just blows me away. I mean, it's just so good. Casanova, Bittersweet. I mean, they're really stretching out, kind of bringing in all kinds of other influences here. Still, to me, kind of art rock. Here's the switch though. When they get to Siren, you get to Siren, and it's just, yeah. I've always said what it was. What's the song? Both ah no, Both Ends Burning. Yeah, I think it's Both Ends Burning. Or is it? No, it's actually it's not what I'm thinking about. Never mind. Scratch that. Although Both Ends Burning too. What I was getting at is Duran Duran has always cited Roxy Music as a huge influence, and there's certain songs where you can really hear that influence. But no, actually, some of this stuff on here, "Love Is the Drug," "Both Ends Burning," but there's a song on a later record that's not in the streak that was get stuck in my head. So, but yeah, I mean, really, again, sort of streamlining the sound. There is still experimentation on here, but songs like "Love Is the Drug" and "Both Ends Burning," are just immaculate, brilliant pop songs. And then, and I mentioned this record in what year was that? Is that my '79 video? Manifesto, the last record in this streak that I want to talk about. I'm a huge fan of Manifesto, even though Manifesto's reputation isn't quite as high as these other four that I showed. I think it stands up there. I think it is brilliant stuff, but even more so, kind of smoothing out the edges and getting into some dance music and that kind of thing. And maybe laying the groundwork for, of course, the masterpiece Avalon, which is not in this streak because the Flesh and Blood album was a huge dip, and then Avalon, so Flesh and Blood breaks the streak. But these five here, then Avalon, are all pretty brilliant records. My final artist, getting into the '80s here, going with Prince. I mean, genius Prince. I'm starting the streak at 1999, although the year is 1982. But yeah, his double album, which really just sort of announces to the world this is a unique talent. But of course, it's not till Purple Rain where things really just bust wide open. I mean, this is one of the great records of the 1980s. It's a masterpiece, start to finish. I mean, what do you need to say about Purple Rain? Now, some may be surprised that I have this in a 5 record streak, but Around the World in a Day, the follow up to Purple Rain, which when this was released was kind of seen as a disappointment, as a letdown a bit. I think this stands up, man. This holds up. This is sort of '80s, very influenced by psychedelic. I mean, really creative. I think this is a fantastic record. I mean, Raspberry Beret's on there, but the whole thing, Pop Life, I think is a great single. I think this holds up. As I also think Parade holds up. Right, Parade. There he is. Parade. Yeah, this really bringing in some of the kind of funky elements. Um, Track listing's not on the outside here, but something like obviously Kiss is the hit off of here, but I mean, really, start to finish, I think this is very creative as well, and kind of like Around the World in a Day, I think is overlooked. I think there's brilliant stuff on here. In some ways, bringing a little bit, like I said, a little bit more of the kind of funky influence and a little bit more minimalism. But he's so brilliant with what he does with that minimalism. And then kind of the opposite of that to end this streak. Now I need to get this on vinyl, but I have it on CD at this point. Sign of the Times, right? His double album, sprawling, his White Album, his Tusk, Exile on Main Street, whatever. His whatever you want to compare it to, kind of sprawling, experimental, all over the place, but in a brilliant way, double album, right? And Sign of the Times. There you go. So, as another 5 streaks. Hope you guys enjoyed that. In the comments, you know, what are some 5 record streaks you can think of that are brilliant? And if you, it's okay even if you repeat the 5 that I had in my original video if you haven't watched it, whatever. But let's talk streaks in the comments, and yeah, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Well, thanks for watching. As usual, please do subscribe. It really does help us out, and hit the bell for notifications and like the videos and all that great stuff. And we'll see you next time.